Hey everybody, welcome back. Working on the Vaterra Twin Hammers build right now. Today we're going to put the front differential together. I'm not sure if any of you was able to see what you would have really wanted to see with the low C build when I put that differential together, because I was back and forth and I did have some problems with I decided to completely lock it, and that didn't work out so well, so I switched it back. I didn't get that on film, but anyway, today you can see how all this goes together. Okay, it's all the same principle. This diff carrier right here is a little smaller in diameter. It is a little bit smaller truck, even though it's still 1/10 scale, but all the same principle. The gears right here, I mean, you can't tell a difference between the Losi gears and the Vaterra gears, so you know that goes to show how very similar the two brands are, and how they you know, kind of like between Pontiac, Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, if you're that old to remember that, how they were so similar. Okay, so anyway, let's get started with that. So just cut this bag open. Well, I guess I did cut it open already. Alright, so we got a couple of O-rings right here, a couple of shims, pins, and the screws to screw the ring gear down into here. Alright, and then we have a gasket right here to keep the oil in, because we're going to fill this with 100,000 weight diff oil. So alright, so go ahead and we'll start out with, we'll put this this axle cup in right here, and we'll put O-ring in. You pay close attention to get that thing in all the way. You want to use something not real sharp to push it down in there. It is a silicone O-ring, but it will take a beating, but it does rip easy. So there you are. Light can catch it, I don't know. It's all the way in there. Okay. Alright, so next hardest thing is getting the cross pin in. In there I have found my tweezers are invaluable. I can't see them right now. Alright, so I got my handy dandy tweezers right here. What we're going to do is get this cross pin into the hole of this diff cup. And unfortunately this thing's been sitting in a magnet tray, so it's all magnetized, and that part in itself could be a little frustrating. This is where a plastic pick would come in handy, but I don't know where my plastic picks are right now. Maybe if I turn this a little, there we go. Just like so, lines up, and just slide the pin up, maybe. Now the tolerances on these are pretty tight, so that in itself is a challenge. You wouldn't want it to be loose, because otherwise it's just going to sit and bang around in there. Y'all see that? Okay. Alright, next, take this gear right here, and it's got a notch in it. Okay, that's where the cross pin's going to go. So we just stick that over in here. Take my handy dandy tweezers, move it around. Or not. Take my handy dandy tweezers and just kind of like hold it maybe and turn this cup so it gets down in there. That, or my pin isn't completely centered. That could be a possibility too. Oh wait, there it went down in there. Alright, just like so. I don't know if the camera can catch it, but the end of the diff cup pin is now flush with that gear. Okay. Alright, so next we take these cross pins, and there's a little notch, if you can catch that, in the middle. Alright, we want it to be facing up on the first one, because then the other one, the notch will be facing down and it'll lock like so. Alright, so we put these spider gears in, or planetary gears, depending on where you're from, I guess, and just put it right down in there. Make sure they're all the way out to the edge, and then we'll make sure that the flat part of this pin is straight up. We're pretty close right now. Okay. Now we'll take the other one, do the same thing, but have the flat part of the pin facing down. Now if it's not facing down, that ring gear will not screw down right, so it needs to be facing down. Okay, so it's down in there, it's below the top area right here, just like the bottom one, so I think we're good there. Alright, so now we got that done. Now we fill it up with some diff oil. We're going to use this 100,000 weight diff oil. It's really thick, more like grease really. Really should have had it standing up. So let's just take a couple minutes. Find my shock jig here. Get my shock jig and just stick this in there. Let it drain down like so. Give it a couple minutes. Alright, so all the diff fluid is now drained down to the right end of it. Go ahead and fill this up. Whoops, I forgot to put my things. Actually, while I was away, I had to take these planetary gears out because I forgot a crucial item. Yes, I do make mistakes. And that would be this shim right here. Oh. Alright. This little teeny shim right here needs to go between, well, on this end, right here, it would lay right in there. Right? And then with the diff cup coming up through, like so, and then you have to try to get the pin through there. And that is an extremely tight fit. Alright, so I pulled it all apart while I was away for a second, put that in, and the reason why I didn't film that is because way down in the bottom of this cup right here is where it is, and I had to fight with it for quite a bit just to get it in place and get that pin in there, only because the tolerances are so tight. Alright, I know some of these guys on these channels, they make it look so darn easy, but sometimes it's not that easy. And if it was that easy, this wouldn't be much fun. Alright? Alright, so we got those in. Now we can fill those oil. Twin hammers, if you're going to do any rock crawling or general bashing, it's recommended to use this heavy weight. Well, they call it oil, but I call it more like grease. Grease that you can squeeze out of a bottle. And I just happen to have this laying around from another kit I did. Alright. Let that sit there a second. Settle down in there. And just top it off a little bit more. So what this will do is create the resistance needed to make the front differential act more like it's locked. It won't be locked, but it'll act more like it's locked. Okay. So, all right. So the grease is in there. I'm gonna set it up here, out of the way. I hope. So I won't tip it over. I hope. Then we're gonna wrestle with this other pin. And thank goodness it's not going down inside of a cup. Hopefully it'll just go right in on for me. But never fear. It is a really tight fit. I did find my these would come in handy. Alright, I bought these for cleaning my guns, but they're nylon, they're non-magnetic, and they're pretty darn strong. Oh, look at that. See how strong they are? They push that pin right through there. Or my nail wasn't able to do it. But this nylon pick, oops, too far. Did that with the other one too. Okay. So we want to get this like centered. So it looks pretty darn close right now. Alright, so we can put this gear in there. Right. So there we are, locked in place. Next important thing would be, well, first get ready, because when you get one of these lined up, you're going to want to cinch them down, and you don't want to not have the right driver. Alright, so we got, I don't have the handle, but I have the, great, thank you, man. Oh yeah, great, thank you, man. Oh yes, and I do talk to myself when I do this. Alright, so line up the first screw with the hole. Get it started. Without a handle. Alright. Turn that diff cup until this thing is locked in. Right? Put the other screw in. Get it started. Then we can take a handle, put on this, and cinch her down. I'm going to stop just short of tight. Because the lesson I learned from doing the rock ray is that this needs to be seated all the way, otherwise it's going to slip. Okay? So if the pin's not in, the pin's going to skip and it's going to chew up them shims, the Warhol oil, and it's a big old mess. Okay, one in. Two in. Alright, so ideally you should be able to turn these opposite directions. Feel the gears moving in there. Alright. And it should have a lot of resistance. Okay. So we'll put the rest of these screws in. Hopefully this thing is locked in place. I think it is though. Feels pretty good. So those O-rings and the gasket on this ring gear are going to keep the oil inside. There you are. One diff. Okay. Another double check. Everything's nice and smooth. Good resistance there. So when this thing goes to turn, it'll be good. Alright. So on the other part, C2, supposed to have another differential in here. Alright, so my mistake. It gives you an option of either locking that front diff, and they give you the locker to go with it. And oh look, I have two now. Right? But never fear, these are going to go into the, my parts of other things, probably in the new parts, because they have not ever been, well, one's been used just a little bit, but I consider them new. I'll use them for future. All right, so there we are. So in the instructions, it gives you an option. It shows you how to do it. Right here, like we just did it, right? Then on the next page shows you the locked version, and it's the same thing, except that we don't put those all those gears in. We just put that locker in, right? Okay. So next step is C3. Right here, we're going to put some axles together. Who wants to join me for that? Next time on building the Vaterra Twin Hammers, we're going to put the axles together and get the differential housing put together and A-arms. So if you want to join me for that, come on back. If you want to see more and want to be notified, click subscribe, click that bell, because I really enjoy doing these. I don't know why, but I just do. I guess it's just a teacher in me. And even though I don't know everything, you guys can teach me a lot as well. Alright? So, thank you a lot. And till next time, go out and have some fun. Thank you.